Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi. Today we are going to do the last topic in lesson number 6, which is al-idafa and idafa construction basically. So let's get started. So in this chapter we've covered definite article when used in terms of generic use. Um, then we have done perfect tense, which means past tense basically. And we've done the third person masculine singular and third person feminine singular. Verbal sentences, sentences which contain a verb in the beginning, basically which have a verb in it. They are called verbal sentences. Now we are going to do idafa construction, and let's see what does that mean. So basically, the word idafa means addition or annexion. So over here, if you see a few examples, Maktabul Mudiru, Maktabul Mudiri, the office of the director, Babul Mathafi, the door of the museum, Lugatun Nasi, the language of the text. Now, noun, these are two nouns. Maktabul Mudiru is Maktab and Mudir, two nouns which consist of first term and second term. Bab and Matab are two nouns. Lugat and Nas are two nouns. So there's first term which comes in the beginning and second term which follows it. So immediately followed by second term. Uh, First term is the head of the phrase. You will understand what it means. And the second term basically gives information about the first term, which is the head of the phrase. It tells you whose, which, or what of the first term. Also, the relationship of possession is expressed in idafa. So basically, the first term is the possessed one, and the second term is basically the possessor. A few things to keep in mind. There are three kinds of modification in idafa. Of construction, I'll explain what does that mean. Involving the possessive s and one noun modifying the other. And we are going to learn so basically idafa can be used in these three functions in English language. Now let's look at of construction. So of construction is basically Maktabul Mudiri, the office of the director. Of, you see, the phrase consists of. So this is called when it's serving the purpose of construction. Involving the possessive s. Now the same thing can be written as the director's office, the office of the director, Maktabul Mudiri. Now in Arabic, they both look the same, but in English, they mean the same also. In English and Arabic both, but they can be constructed in two ways. Third one is one noun modifying the other. So Maktabul Mathafi, the museum office. So there is a noun and this other noun is kind of modifying it, kind of defining it. Now in Arabic and English, let's see the comparison. So in Arabic, the head noun, which is Maktab, is always first. But in English, if you see the office, it is in the first phrase, it's in the beginning. In the second phrase, it's in the end. And then third phrase, it's also in the end. So position basically varies according to the function, according to how you are translating it. Now, there are a few very important points that you have to keep in mind while constructing an idafa. First of all, whole idafa functions as single unit. And that single unit, that whole idafa can serve as subject. It can be a mubtada of jumla ismiya, or it can be a file. It can be object, which is the maful in a jumla fi'liya. It can be a predicate, which means khabar, and it can also be a preposition which can serve as mutalik bil fi'l or mutalik bil khabar in an Arabic sentence. So the whole idafa can do all these jobs. Now, how by the way, over here, if you see, let's look at some of the examples in the first point. Hazal Maktabul Mudiri. This is the director's office. And yes, so over here, if you see, uh, this is Jumla Ismiya. This is, if you remember, is the invisible is the director's office. This here is serving as a khabar. And because khabar is in rafa form, so you will see maktabu. There is a dhamma, which means that it is nominative, it's rafa. Then Salim is in the director's office. So Salimun fi maktabi. Over here, this is preposition maktalik bil khabar. So that's why maktabi is genitive, which is jar, because it's because if we know that fi when it takes its majroor, it is jar in form. It is basically genitive, has a kasra. Now here she studied the next text of the lesson. So over here she studied, the maf'ul is always nasab. So you will see nasa, which is the the head term. The first term is in nasab. Now over here in the second point, what they say is that first term never has a nunation and an article. So over here in all these, in the first term, you will see kitabu. It's light, it doesn't have a nunation, and it also never has an muazzafu, and over here also mudiru. So first term will never have al or nunation. Second term, however, may have a nunation, which is tanween, or a definite article. So in the first example, over here you see they've got al. In the second term, over here you see it has got tanween. So that's one of the things, that is the difference between head term and the first term and second term. Now another point to consider about definite, which is proper, when the whole term is proper, or is it common. The second term is definite, then the whole idafa is definite. So we know that the first term, the first term of idafa cannot take al. So that means if the second term is taken al, or it has it is a proper the attached pronoun, then the whole idafa will be considered as definite. And definite means having al or pronoun. So if the second term is a pronoun or it has al, the whole idafa will be considered as proper, or you can say definite. Second term is indefinite, the first term, and the whole idafa, in fact, will be indefinite. So the second term always determines what is the type, which is common or proper, which is the type definite or indefinite of the whole term. The last thing is about vocative article ya. When it is followed by a noun, we know it is always rafa, like ya ustadu. But when vocative particle ya is followed by a noun, which is the first term of idafa, the first term of idafa will be nasa. Ya ustad al lughatil arabiya. Regardless of the fact what function is it performing in a sentence, it will be accusation. So this brings us to the end of this topic. If there are any outstanding questions, please feel free to ask on the group, and inshallah one of us will be able to help you. Assalamu alaikum.